everyone, and welcome. Today we have Chris Alton, father of two girls, BillBoard Chris, that you can find on Twitter and on his own website. Today we'll be discussing gender ideology, gender dysphoria, puberty blockers, how it is affecting your children of all ages, and what families can do when faced with your children at school, and how you can advocate and protect them. Just before we begin, I'd like to ask everyone, please subscribe to my Instagram, Telegram, and Twitter at RH Media, standing for children. I want to welcome Chris. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. And how are you?
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this.
Wonderful. Can you kind of let us know the background of who you are? And then we'll kind of lead into the rest of the show.
Sure. I'm exactly nobody. I'm just a dad. I'm a dad of two girls. They're 10 and 12 years old now. And I got tired of all this ridiculous stuff going on in our schools and in our society at large, specifically the issues related to children wanting to switch their sex. This is child abuse. We should be letting kids grow up, trying to give them puberty blocking drugs and cross-sex hormones and all that stuff does not help them to be who they really are. So I got tired of this. I had two little girls who were about to be entering into the puberty years themselves. And so I wanted to learn more about this. And the more I learned what was going on, the more I didn't like it. And I just felt like I had to speak up. I didn't like how our freedom of speech is also something that's under attack along with our parental rights. So I put up a big billboard that said the same thing in Vancouver. And it only lasted a day because Vancouver politician Sarah Kirby-Young said to love J.K. Rowling is hate speech. And so Jimmy Pattison's company took it down. I then leveraged all the outrage online and put up billboards throughout the United States in San Francisco, Los Angeles, Portland, Utah, Washington, D.C., and Times Square. And then because I can't even put up a sign in Canada, I decided to become a sign. I became a human billboard and I went out on the street with a couple signs. My first one said, I love J.K. Rowling and gender ideology does not belong in schools. My main messages today are children cannot consent to puberty blockers. That's my number one sign that I wear, along with my definition of a dad, which is a human male who protects his kids from gender ideology. Sure. So essentially, gender ideology teaches our children that it's stereotypes that define what sex they are or what gender they are. Gender is a really poorly defined word. No one can really define it. But essentially, it's just the stereotypes to do with your sex. So if you look at the most used resource all around the world, it's this cute little image of a gingerbread man. It's called the genderbread person. And you can go to genderbreadperson.org and see it for yourself. Click on the fourth version of it. There's been many versions because the producer of it has to keep making money. So they keep updating it.
Oh.
Anyway, it defines your gender identity as this. And all of our children now are being taught in schools that they have a gender identity. Not just that they have a sex, that they have a gender identity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's defined as being your personality. It's based on your personality, your jobs, your hobbies, your likes and dislikes, your roles in society, and the expectations that are upon you. This is all regressive, sexist, stereotypical nonsense. If a girl wants to climb a tree and play in the dirt and hates wearing dresses and wants to have short hair and wants to be an engineer when she grows up, does this put her on the boy end of the spectrum?
Yeah.
According to gender ideology, it does.
So
CBC produced a documentary where toys were one of the determining factors in a kid's gender. So if a boy was playing with dolls, that would somehow make him a girl. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, I can account to what you're saying is absolutely correct. Being a former educator and interviewing a soon-to-be teacher in a classroom, that the gingerbread man is actually being used in the teacher's college to educate them on how to present this in the classroom, how you evaluate the questions. So it's even being used when there's new teachers coming out and instructing.
Yeah, it's pure propaganda. There's no science to this whatsoever. No one can even define what a gender identity is. If you ask someone on the street, because I travel around on the street, having conversations on the street, going to big events, increasingly doing more public speaking and all that, but ask any of these gender ideologues what it means for a boy to be a girl or for a girl to be a boy. None of them can tell you. They can't answer what a woman is.
No.
It's just a feeling to them. But what is that? How do you feel like a woman? How would I know what it feels like to be a woman, being a man?
Exactly.
Of course, this is all just crazy stuff. This is some radical ideology that should have stayed in some obscure corner of university. but now it's being pushed out to society at large. And it's essentially a cult that's taken over our government, corporations, and all of our schools. And so parents need to get up to speed about what's going on. Because if your children are struggling in life, especially kids with autism, kids who are going to grow up to be gay, kids who've suffered abuse, trauma, broken homes, foster kids, it's all these kids that are falling into this ideology, believing that they're born in the wrong body. And it's especially girls. There's been about a 4,000%, 40 times increase in the number of girls now identifying as trans. And the most vulnerable ones, we'll get onto this subject next, end up becoming lifelong medical patients.
Chris, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you for sharing with us your knowledge and your expertise. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for all the work that you do in public and touring and in sharing your information so that more parents are aware, they can take action, because you're right. Collectively, we've got this and we can stop this and protect our children.